the whole Williston Reservoir pretty much annihilated the caribou populations in this region. The reservoir flooded huge tract of land there and introduced mercury poisoning contamination in that reservoir. And our people have survived on those fish for centuries. And now we can't eat them because of the mercury in the fish. And now they're going to introduce the same thing in the Site C. They know there's going to be mercury contamination. They know it's going to be a long-term infringement of our treaty right to fish. But they're going ahead with it anyway, even though there's much, much better alternatives. So, and all of those types of energy production would create more jobs than Site C, more long-term jobs, particularly for the regional people. Like our community is likely not to see even one job out of Site C. The W.A.C. Bennett Dam has been operating here for since 1967, and there's never been one West Moberly person worked as a janitor for about a few months in that project, and there's never been a West Moberly person employed at BC Hydro.
Because the way the river works in the microclimate, it's 5 to 7 degrees warmer in the valley, in the Peace Valley, than anywhere else, and that's why everything grows the way it grows. You can grow melons there, corn. I think you said cactus as well, and that doesn't happen anywhere else in this part of the world. How does cactus grow in the north? That's supposed to be like have 20, 30 below weather. Well, that's because the Peace Valley has a special type of climate, and the ecosystem is different. What will happen here now is if the third dam gets built, there's absolutely nothing left of the Peace River. It's gone for good. It's gone from Earth for good. So people don't realize to the extent of the damage that's taking place for the sake of, I call it, this isn't vanity, it's insanity. For someone else's name, for it's supposed to have more jobs and economically, it makes no sense, because why would you take out a system that exists naturally, with natural law, and try and wipe it out from the world when it contributes to the world? It just doesn't make sense.
One of the issues that we've been concerned about is that Laylu Island is a big project located in one location. If you take the wells, the gas wells, and all the infrastructure that has to be put in the ground on the land up here to provide the gas to Laylu Island, the impact from those gas wells and those pipelines and all the infrastructure, probably 100 times more. Like, it's just spread out more. But every place there's a gas well, there used to be wildlife, and we use that wildlife and those berries and those fish. Those are our way of life. That's the part that we were supposed to be protected forever. That was the deal in the treaty. The treaty said, maintain your way of life as long as the grass grows, the rivers flow,
The sunshine.
and the sun shines.
Exactly.
And what we look at today, just even in the last 10 years,
Oh yeah.
it's amazing in 10 years how much impact has happened in this region. It was already bad, but in this past 10 years it just
Worse. Our way of life is disappearing fast because there's so much going on, and as soon as that's done, then something else takes place, and then something else, and that's how we lose a lot of our traditional places. The places we go to in order for us to practice our right. It's not even practice; it's our way of life. And there's been animals that have been found. Remember up at the wind farm, right?
Yep.
Where someone had shot, in one season alone, about 5 animals, 5 moose were shot. And all they took out was like a rib, the horns, and left the animal there. Wasn't used. Our people use everything. They take even, the internal organs, we use everything. And when we see that, when people come in and shoot something and kill something and leave it there, just to take one piece or a horn or something like that for their trophy, that's not right. And it's sad that the province only thinks about that revenue and not about the natural things that need their place. So the values of us, what we value, and what the regulator, so-called regulator, wants to make revenue from, they're always clashing. We're always at a different place, but so but someone needs to grab a hold of it and say, you know what, enough is enough, because animals need their place, animal needs their habitat, and the people of the land need all of that, right?
I look at what's going on now with the land as being another form of the residential schools. In the residential school experience, they took the native people off the land and put them into a controlled environment where they basically tried to destroy their culture, take the Indian out of the Indian. What's happening today is they're taking the land away from the people. They're making it almost impossible for us to maintain our way of life, to maintain our culture, because our culture is connected to the land. And to me, it's when a government like the new Liberal government in Ottawa talks about reconciliation, and I've heard it mentioned before that it has to include the land. It has to include a respect for the land, because the way of life is connected to the land and the water. And if they don't get that right, that part right, they're just doing the same thing as has happened over many, the past century or so to the Aboriginal people. It's just a new way of doing it.